On this garlic marketing show, it's going to be amazing because we're going to talk TikTok. We're going to talk about how this 60 plus year old TikTok influencer grew 1.1 million followers and what she's planning to do if TikTok shuts down. Helen, say hi.
Hi, it was so
And
nice to see you.
yeah, we're going to talk about how she used TikTok to become the expert in TikTok and how it's really been pivotal to her role in the boardroom, as well as the video that put her on the map, the importance of channeling IDGAF. If you don't know what that is, you got to listen. How her routine for getting content done, her opinions on the shutdown, the new social platform that she's already grown to 11,000 followers, and her and the importance of systems, as well as why it took her 4 years to monetize all this on the garlic marketing show. But of course, you can get the show notes and you can get all of this and never miss a garlic marketing show, plus get all the notes from this episode and our 2025 YouTube planner if you just go to videokstory.com/notes and sign up. All right, let's get started.
Is Gino Wickman. I was introduced to Ian, and that's what brought me into this video world and got me embracing this video world. And Ian did exactly what I hoped. He got me really comfortable with putting videos out to the world and having a great strategy around putting videos out to the world, because there's so much more than just shooting a video. And so the way that he positions those videos, optimizes those videos, he's done a great job.
All right. And so tell me a little bit, let's talk a little bit about your background, how you got there, because it's really interesting to me.
And it is important because it kind of ties all the pieces together. I have been producing and directing TV commercials, and I started in the toy industry and then evolved into testimonial work, doing brands like Sensodyne, Pronamel, and doing a lot with doctors and professionals. So my career has taken a bunch of turns. And then when the pandemic hit, I found myself kind of quiet. There wasn't a lot of production going on. So I decided to, for fun, turn the camera on myself and do some videos in my house. And while I was doing that, I got on TikTok and randomly started to build a following over there of people who liked my videos because I know how to edit. And I always say I've been doing TikTok since the 80s, when I learned how to cut a 30-second spot into a 15. And once I knew how those skills, they transfer over as long as I could figure out how to teach myself how to do it with my phone. So I got really, and I'm tech savvy, so I got really good at it. And I had some people, after about a year of doing just fun, enjoyable content on TikTok, somebody asked me in my comment section how I did a certain transition trick, and I said, I'll make a tutorial, and the rest is history. I put that tutorial out, it went viral. I had people saying our TikTok teacher is here, and the way I explain and teach was very relatable, and also the fact that I'm not 20 years old, obviously, and so I teach in a way that I had to learn things, and I had to learn technology. So I have a way of explaining technology to people who didn't grow up with it. And I think I found my sweet spot. And that grew me to 1.1 million followers. And I am now teaching, and I'm become an expert. My career has evolved because of it. I can speak to that, which is really insane when I tell you some of those stories. It's been a fun time.
Tell me the moment where you realized your influence was going to affect your professional life.
Amazing. I will give you a very key turning point. Was when I was hired by an ad agency to come to their shoot while they were filming a commercial which had already been booked and planned, and they needed a TikTok shooter, they needed a social media shooter, and they contacted me. They were led to me through somebody who found me on TikTok, course, because I'm visible. And then they brought me to the shoot. And when I had to go on that first meeting to get briefed, when they announced that I was the TikTok expert, the tone in the room, the Zoom room, changed tremendously towards me. Because by visual reference, you might think, oh, I don't know, older woman, executive, whoever she may be. And then suddenly I'm the one in the room with 1.1 million followers that has built a community on a youthful platform. And so that was very pivotal to see the tone change and the attitude toward me change. And I realized that I was the most relevant person in the room at that moment. And I was also the oldest. That was big. That was huge.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And I think that it's one. Did people look you up? Could you tell if people looked you up beforehand?
I don't know. I don't think a lot of them even knew. That's what was really weird about it. I think somebody told, and then immediately they said, "What's your handle?" And I could see people in the meeting, like on their phones. It was really, really funny. It's such a memorable moment for me that I'll always hold on to it, because I realized that I had something really magical happening, which is that I was an unexpected expert in an area that was just not the norm. And I realized that I had a sweet spot. And I don't know, it just changed a lot of things in my mind. And I became more confident in what I was doing. And then I realized that I have to help other people feel visible the way I feel visible now. I mean, I don't mind saying that my age either, so I don't know if that's relevant to the show, but I am 63, and for a 63-year-old to be famous on TikTok, it's pretty cool. There's hope for everybody.
It shows that, like, the age isn't important, but you knew editing, right? You knew some of the technology, but what was the pivotal moment of what was the move that really you think made your growth happen?
I think because I can watch videos, and because I've been in editing rooms for my whole career, and I've seen special effects executed in real time. I've watched green screen, how it's done. I understand it. I understand it to a core, whereas a teenager would see green screen and just instinctively know what buttons to push. I actually understand the technology behind it and how green screen works. So because I have that knowledge, I could see somebody else's video, and then I could say, oh, I know how that was done. Now I had to figure out, how was it done with a phone, and how are people able to do this so easily? So it was finding the effects and knowing that I have the power, because I have the knowledge from my 35 years of being in production and seeing it happen. I was able to make that transition over. And it was just like, it was so, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I can teach people how to do this. I'm going to pull the curtain back. And a lot of people were not. They were gatekeeping. They didn't want to share how they did like a magical shirt rip transition, like rip the shirt and the new shirt comes on. And I was like, oh, I see how this is done. I'm going to show people how to do it. So I would do it first. And then people would be like, this woman can do these transitions better than me. Like a lot of young people following me, by the way. And then the next day, after I'd post my version, then I would post, here's how I did the shirt rip transition. And I would break it down. And that's really what put me on the map. It was so empowering, number one, for me to do it. And also it felt good because I was showing people, and then other people were doing it, and then they were tagging me in their videos, and I was celebrating them. And I suddenly realized that I'm a teacher somehow. And when I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher, but then life took me in a different way, in a different path. So I'm back to what I was supposed to do, maybe.
That's amazing. So here's the question, though, is you have all this background, and someone who doesn't, right? And someone who's just getting started, wants to get out there. What's the best piece of advice that you can give them on TikTok right now?
You don't have to know anything in order to do it. You just have to be, you don't have to know anything. The platforms are so easy now, and just with a little bit of digging and tutorial searching, and you can attend my program, because that's what I do, is I teach. I'm so inspired to do it. And the resources are there that make it so easy for anybody. So if you're just willing to put yourself out there, it's about channeling your inner IDGAF, right? I don't give a fuck. Channeling your inner I don't give a and then you
can swear.
You go. I can say that. I don't know. I forgot to ask you that at the beginning.
Swear away.
Swear away. I don't give a fuck. It's channeling that part of you, and then saying it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to look ridiculous sometimes. I had people judging me. I know I did, and I will tell you, I sometimes make fun of them to now. I'm like, oh, and you thought what was I doing on social media? Aren't you laughing now? Like, we have jokes about it, but it's really the confidence of being a certain age maybe helped, because I really said, well, if they're going to judge me, let them. I got to that point in my life, and maybe that helped a little bit. You don't have to know a lot, though. You just have to be willing to be yourself.
And now how do you decide your content going forward?
Content or context?
Content.
Okay. My ear is to the ground. So I'm number one. I figured out that on my own account, I have a rotation of content, and I didn't ever realize I was doing that until I tried to explain it to someone in one of my workshops, and I was seeing, oh yeah, I have a rhythm actually. So I don't post tutorial after tutorial after tutorial. I would bore myself to death, and my audience might get sick of it too. So I have a rotation that I naturally do in my content. So I will sometimes try a fun trend if I see it, and then I'll teach the trend. So then there's a tutorial, and then the next day I'm attending an event or something interesting in New York City, so I share a little behind the scenes. And then another time maybe I'm at work, so I'm at a shoot, so I'm sharing, I'm at a shoot today, this is what we're doing. So I rotate my content, but then every 4 videos at least I have a tutorial. Strategically, if someone sees a tutorial, which is most likely what gets more views on my accounts, they see a tutorial and they say, oh, I'm going to see what this woman is about and what else I can learn from her. If they go to my page, I don't want them to have to dive down 10 videos to find another tutorial. So I'm very, I guess, rhythmic in my presentation, so that they might say, oh, she's crazy, she's at a fun thing here. Oh, she's showing her family. Okay, great. Oh, now there's a tutorial. So they know, and I also have the tutorials labeled in a way that looks like if somebody wanted to skip all the in-between, they can easily access my tutorials quickly. So I have a rhythm, but I also am willing to pull back the curtain on my own life and share what I'm experiencing and documenting my days. I have very naturally, I see things and enjoy things through the camera. That's a little odd, but it's true. Even my son's wedding, people were like, I hope you're not going to film at the wedding. And I said, you're damn straight I'm filming at the wedding, because that's how I view my life, is through a lens. So too bad if people don't like it. It's just the way I enjoy things, because it's like I am a natural storyteller. So I want to capture the moments that I can tell the story, even if it's for my own diary later, because my TikTok is now my video diary. That's how I look at it.
I love that. I love the idea that it's your video diary.
It is.
It's really cool. And I get that too. Like, I've been, shooting videos since I was a little kid, and even now my son's like, he always tells his friends, like, Dad's always shooting a video. You think it's a picture, it's always video.
Yes. And we had a joke for a while. I was going video. I was trying to give them signs, because everybody tries to pose for a picture, but I'm always rolling video. Do you know that has that video, the stills button on the video? You can tap the stills button. And
I use that a lot.
I use that all the time.
I'd love to not tell people and then get a video of them posing, because it's really funny to have videos of people posing.
It's so true. It's the best. It's like the secret little button, but now it's not so secret because I made a tutorial and it went viral.
When my wife and I got married, I did the compilation video, and then it was like, history, and then it was our together, and there's like this whole compilation of her just going like this.
That's great. That sounds like my husband, only he is literally not in it. He's just like, you do you, boo. Yeah. I'm not in it. I said, okay.
I get yelled at so much about that. I think that it's part of the reason I do it too, is because it's like, it's fun to see people. I like the authenticity of it. Like of shooting those videos. And so now you have a group and a course. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, it's funny because when I first started, I thought, well, I'm here to serve. And I didn't see a way that I guess I wasn't really interested in trying to monetize it. I was just enjoying it. I was getting plenty of production work because of it. And so I didn't feel pressed to do it. But what happened over a course of really 4 years, from being on in 2020 till now, there was so many people always asking me, can I work with you privately? Like, won't you offer a private lesson? So the first step was I offered a free course, and I made a 40-minute TikTok course that is completely free. You can go and learn from soup to nuts how to work TikTok, how to think about it, how to set it up, and then how to use it. And then from that, my daughter came on board, and the two of us have been trying to figure out how to create something that's scalable so that I can serve a larger amount of people without it being, I have no life, because there's so much going on. I'm still doing production. I still want to be able to figure out a way. So we came up with a plan that is so personalized and yet at the same time scalable, because I can serve a lot of people who are getting so much value. So we launched it, it's been about a month now. We launched it mid-November. I don't know when this is airing, but we launched it in mid-November. Immediately had people, because I had already had an email list grown that I was slowly growing myself. So I did a lot of organic growth to leading up to this, but it reached a tipping point for me that I knew I had to do something for people that they wanted. And so now I have this program, and it's amazing. I provide tips, daily content, weekly content tips, a weekly mini challenge, weekly trends, and then weekly content ideas, and then a weekly Zoom where I go live and I meet with people face to face. And it's been so great because immediately in the first week, I think it was, I had like 130 people in it, which was quick, and I was a little worried, but it launched really well, and the feedback has been amazing. So no one has dropped out. And what we had in the first month is one of the members had a major viral video. So she's been talking it up. She's like, as soon as I joined the studio and followed her tips, I had a viral video. And so she's really excited. So there's a lot of good energy amongst the people who joined, and it feels so inspiring. And now I feel motivated to work for them in a way that I didn't before. I was scared of it before, and now I'm embracing it, and I'm loving it so much. It's my favorite thing.
I love that. I love that. And so the viral video. Okay, and where can someone go to learn more about it and sign up?
Socialize.com is the landing page to get on the email list and all of that. And at the top, we have a studio link. I do think there's also a pop-up about it, but when you go for the first time, there's a pop-up. You can let me know if that shows up for you. But hellosocialize.com, you click on the studio. That's where you can find out what I have all the details there. And it's just a lot of fun. And I encourage people to just try it for a month and see what you think, because it's not a huge investment. It's $36 right at this moment. So it's not a huge investment to say it's like almost $1 a day for getting personalized help. And what I hope to just see people helping each other in there. And that's what's starting to happen. So the people that are learning, when the new people are coming in, they're coming into the comments and they're helping each other with their questions. So I think that hopefully I can just build a really nice community of people the way I did in real life in the suburbs. When I lived in the suburbs, I used to host these dance parties at my house for ladies only. And it was just this let loose time for women. And it went from like the first time I had like 20 or 30 people there. And by the time I had the last one, I had almost 100 women in my house, because word spread like this was a safe place. This is a fun place. This is where we're going to celebrate no matter what age we are, no matter what type of person we are. So that real life model is what I'm hopefully creating right now in a virtual way. I love it.
That's amazing. I just love the way you're creating it. You know, so many people create it for the numbers and for the money, and everything you're doing, you create it out of purpose.
Yes.
A better purpose than not just passion but purpose. And I love that in helping others. But you said you had a student go viral. I want what was the secret? What's the secret?
I will tell you because it was so good, and it's like a perfect example of, it was the first week where I decided to give them a challenge, and the challenge was trying to create a loop video. So I gave them a little tutorial on how to make a video loop. And that means that when you watch it, you don't realize it started over. So the person watching is watching it multiple times, which is amazing for engagement. So I did a test myself, and I had a video where I created a loop, and it was about 30 seconds, and it just kept, and somebody said, I watched this 10 times till I figured out that it was crazy. So I just said, this is the challenge this week. Try to create a loop video. And this woman who happened to be an autism mom recorded the video and did my little tip where she took the end of her video and she put it at the beginning. But what happened to her, which was interesting, is when she was telling the story and got to the end, she was a little emotional. So her last sentence, she was a little bit choked up, and she took the choked up sentence and put it on the beginning. So it was immediate hook, because people were like, this woman's choked up. What's her story? And then it started over, and nobody realized that they watched this thing. And she went viral. I mean, it was like, she keeps talking about it. Every time I see her when I'm on TikTok Live, every time we're in a Zoom session, she's like, my viral video, thanks to the mothership. It's really cute, really cute. Amber, shout out to Amber, in case she wants to listen to this. It's so really cool.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, we'll send that over, and we'll put a link to that in the show notes.
She'll be happy.
And folks, of course, if you want all the show notes, all the links, as well as our, links to this and the to-dos from this, and also you can get our YouTube planner. You can just go to videocasestory.com/notes and get that. So Helen, now, right at this moment, it's been going on for years. TikTok might be going away in the U.S., might not. How are you thinking about this? How are you planning for this? I mean, you've got this big audience. What's your next steps?
Great question. And I get asked this in my comments constantly. So I've made multiple videos about it. And I will tell you that I'm very calm about it, considering that I stand to lose a very large audience. And TikTok is where I have my largest audience. So I have a lot to lose. My first thought is, here we go, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. How many times are they going to tell us TikTok's going away? And it's probably never going to go away, because it's too much. I think there's too much money at stake. There's too many businesses involved. So my personal opinion is that I think they will figure out a way to solve it that makes it not go away, because it's a little extreme for them to take away, quote, free speech in a weird way. So I do think that it would be such a wacky turning point in history if it was to be taken away. But because there have been wacky things happening in history, I can't discount it. So I like to think, even though I know in my heart, I think 95% it's not going away, there's the 5% that in me that is a producer and wants to be prepared. So what I have been trying to help people do and advise in general for my audience is to think about being prepared and think about simple strategies where you can get people to other channels. Diversify a tiny bit. Just get yourself either, and there's multiple ways I teach this, and I'm teaching it very in depth in the studio, the ways to try making an email list. But if you're not ready to do an email list, here's a way to do it, just to gather emails and get it started. And then try another platform. If you haven't dabbled in here, I analyze all the platforms and I say which one would be good for which type of person. And I'll give you an example right now. Lemon 8, that's lemon with the number 8, is a new social media platform that it's owned by ByteDance. So I don't know if that's going to go away too, but the advice was try and get on Lemon 8, because if the bill is written specifically about TikTok, we may be able to have this other platform that stays, that's very similar. So I decided, you know what? Every time I hear about a new platform, I'm grabbing my username. First step, grab the username, because you want to have your branding across channels. So I've been doing that. There's another one called Fanbase. I grabbed my username. There's another one, Clapper. I've been on that for a while because the last time the TikTok ban happened, I got on that one. So I have my username secured. I dabble in them occasionally, and I post a video, or turns out Lemonade, I already have 11,000 followers. I only have 2 videos or 3 videos up, and I have already a solid following on that platform. So I know that wherever I go, I'm still going to be a content creator. I'm still doing what I love, what I'm passionate about, and I'll just lean into the new thing. And just the way people found me on TikTok, they'll find me wherever I end up. And maybe there'll be new people that find me. So I'm really not stressed about it. It's weird, but I'm not. I'm just like, well, I'll be starting over. Whatever. I did it once. I'll do it again.
Yeah, no, it's
new
great.
challenge.
Yeah. I think that resilience is amazing, and that's a big part of it.
Listen, I beat cancer. You know what I mean? This is only a TikTok ban by comparison. That's another story for another episode. But yeah, I did that right out loud on my TikTok, and I got through that. So I figure this one is going to be a little easier, hopefully.
I'm sure. And, especially you're early on too. And I think that's, and people migrate yes. from platform to platform. And also I think it's important to be on multiple platforms because people use the platforms in different ways, right? YouTube is different than TikTok, which is different than Facebook, and people are migrating from Facebook. And so, as far as you're developing a routine around doing this stuff, because you're working full time.
Yes. Everybody says that. And I'm like, you don't have time.
I lived in New York. You live in New York City, and living there is a different level of not having time.
That's right.
People don't understand how much more difficult, if you're not a New Yorker, you don't understand how much more difficult it is living in New York City than getting a coffee in the morning takes 10 times the time.
It's crazy. Yes. It's crazy. Yes. It's funny because it seems fast, but it's not. You go into Trader Joe's, the line is around the store. So yeah. Well, this is
and you're walking there, and it's not you're hopping in your car and throwing your groceries in the back seat.
And you can't make one trip. You got to make 10 trips because you only got 2 hands. So.
And I remember when we first moved back from New York, and I went to my first meeting here, and I was working with someone. They're like, "Oh, it's time to go," and it was like 5 o'clock. I'm like, You're stopping work at 5 o'clock?
Wow. Yeah.
Everyone.
I can't relate to that.
No, you work till 9. It's like average to work till 9 o'clock, and work all the time to survive. And so, tell me a little bit about your routine in the midst of all of this.
Okay. This is good. You have such good questions. What I have found to be the most, workable and most sustainable for my content is that I don't think of it as, and I also have to shoot videos. I think of it as documenting what I'm doing in the day. So it makes it a little easier. So I'll give you an example this morning. I knew that I had this meeting and I have a couple meetings after. So this morning I had a coffee catch up with my stylist friend. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be out the whole morning. I'm not going to have time to make content. So what I did is on the way there, I documented some things that I was thinking about when I was walking. On the way back, we did a video together. We were at the restaurant. I said, oh, let's do this fun video. So I always have content in my mind as part of my day. It's in the same way that I was saying, instead of thinking about what to do, it's like I'm seeing my life through the camera. So as I'm going through my day, I'm grabbing pieces of content. I don't always post it all. It's just that at the end of the day, when I go, let me do my download, I look through what I filmed in a day. Sometimes it's just a still photo I took and I put a little caption. There's always something that happens that is post worthy. Even if you have the most boring life, trust me, you could have the most boring life, take a picture out your window and a caption on it of something that you thought about in a day. There's always something. And I always say to my daughter, everything is content, because that's how I live my life, and it makes it very sustainable. So it's not like this extra chore that I got to add into a very busy day. If I'm at a shoot and I'm working from 6 a.m. till 9 at night, a lot of times on these production shoots, during the course of it, at some point, I'm eating lunch, I stop, I either record something or I document, like, here's what I'm doing. It's lunch break and I actually have a minute, click. So I just work it into my life instead of thinking of it as an extra job. That's how I approach my own content. And then in terms of the stuff I produce, which I have a podcast twice a week, I put out a newsletter twice a week. I do the studio now, and I have 4 days a week where I'm putting content out to my studio people. So that's preparation, planning, having a really great assistant. My daughter works with me. She's incredible. She has systemized my life to a point of every time she makes another system, like, thank you, I just have a calm feeling come over me, because she has a knack for making it systemized so it doesn't feel overwhelming to me. And I am so grateful for her for that. Give Julie a follow. She's amazing. Let's put her in the notes.
All right.
She's she's actually is a stand-up comedian, but she's aspiring to do comedy for her career. Her passion is that. So
I love
comedy.
that. Where can we follow her?
Oh, she's at Julie Polise. We can put her in the show notes, but it's JuliPolise. She's very funny, and her comedy, I provide a plethora of material for this girl. She is like, because we said one day there's going to be a reality show, My Life with an Influencer Mom, because it's just good comedy all the time. I'm always making content. She's always filming me making content. She does imitations of me, like mom at Target, mom on a hike. Like, we have a lot of fun with comedy. We had dark comedy happening when I was going through chemo. So we make the most of it, and she and I get along really well.
I love that. I can't wait to see that. You know, it's funny. Rob Lowe's son does something similar. I don't know if you've seen his stuff.
No.
Because he just makes fun of his dad. He does impressions of his dad. And it's hilarious. That's great. Yes, I will send you one, because she does this imitation of me at Target that is so brilliant. And it's so true. It's so spot on. We have so much fun. I love that. So, obviously, you know, we all have to learn from someone. You're teaching yourself, but who do you follow? Who do you pay attention to?
This is funny. I end up listening more to strategists versus... I don't learn from people who are teaching how to edit necessarily, because I think that's my sweet spot. Occasionally I'll see somebody do a very complicated special effect edit, and I'm like, I know how it's done in an edit room, but I'm like, oh, maybe I'll watch that guy's tutorial because he seems to have a handle on technology. But for the most part, I listen to people who are talking more about strategy. Like with this whole TikTok ban, I'm listening to a lot of lawyers break things down. I like to listen to people who have skills that I do not possess. And so I can learn and I think broaden my brain, because I feel the things I know really well, and the things I don't know, I'm sometimes it's embarrassing.
Well, I mean, you know, I mean that's a sign of an expert, is knowing, like, your expertise broadens and you realize all the things you don't know.
Oh yeah.
I miss those days of being like, I know everything.
Oh, I know. I can't remember that now because I just can see everything that I don't know. But it is funny. It's fun to know this part, because I think people don't expect a person of my age to know technology. So I love to be the surprise when it comes to that. I've been to places where someone will talk to my daughter about something technical as if like, oh, you can help her with that about me, you know? And she goes, you should just talk to her about that, because she actually helps me with how to set up the printer. She can't, like, so my daughter will completely come to bat for me, and I love that. She's great. She likes to like stop people in their tracks from those things. What's really interesting is she's been in LA. She's living on the West Coast, so we speak every day, but you know, we don't see each other in person a lot. She has befriended this older group of comedian women. And then in the city here, I have younger friends that I hang out with that I have get together with lunch. My stylist is at least a decade younger than me. I have another woman I hang out with who's almost like half my daughter's age. And we always say we're looking for each other on our opposite coasts because she's hanging with older women and I'm hanging with younger women. It's so funny.
She's not hanging out with Judy Carter, is she?
No. Well,
Judy was on the Garlic Market Show a while ago.
God.
She's the author of the Comedy Bible. She's out there too.
Oh, I'm gonna have to ask her. She probably knows her. That's fun.
Yeah,
fun.
no, that's fantastic.
I'm writing
this
it
is
down.
so great. And so, where do you see, like, are you looking into the future at all of like where all this is going, or are you playing it day by day?
Yeah, I'm not a big future planner. I will tell you that. I'm very day to day, and my daughter is the opposite of me. She's always planning, and she's always like, well, 5 years out. And I'm like, 5 years out, whatever. There was a trend recently, and it was an Elmo trend. We have to link this in here, but it says something like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And Elmo goes, 5 years? I don't even know what I'm going to be doing in the next 5 hours. And it's like so accurate to my life. Like, don't talk to me about next week. Let's just get through this week. And so I'm not a big planner, but if somebody pushed me against a wall and said, what do you want to have done?
Because it's a really hard question. Like, I don't like to answer it, but I do think that I'd like to figure out how to scale the platform where I'm teaching and inspiring and figure out a way to impact more people, but have it be sustainable for me so that I'm not as pressured maybe on the production jobs, because I'm always doing them, but also there's a lot of young people in production that really want to have their way and kind of work their way into it. And I want to leave space for that. So I know there's an evolution of careers. And so I do hope that I can continue to inspire. I can figure out how to impact on a larger scale is what I'd like to do, so that that's more sustainable for me. And I don't see it as retirement ever. I think I'll be too bored. I think with this social media capabilities that I have, I don't ever really have to retire. I can keep going until, I just have a friend that's 83 in an assisted living, and she has 500,000 followers. She posts on TikTok, storytelling things every day. She's wonderful. And I see myself as her, as being that person that's always kind of on the cutting edge of what's next. And that's what I continue to do. So I'm not going to stop doing that all of a sudden. I love to learn.
I love that. Well, Helen, obviously we'll follow you at the Mothership with a U. We'll put a link to all that in the show notes. Like I said, if you want to, get the show notes, you can go to videocasestory.com/notes and sign up. But Helen, if you give one last piece of advice, what's the number one piece of advice that you give to people that you think is the most effective thing?
I think it's just start. Because if you wait until that time that you're ready, I'm not ready yet, I have to do this first. And a lot of people procrastinate because they want this to be perfect or that to be aligned, or the stars have to be in a certain space. If you really just start and put one foot in front of the other, you're just going to keep getting better. So think of it like this. I always think of it like no one's watching in the beginning. It's just you out there just testing the waters. So just start. I don't know. See what could happen. When I started, I was baking. I'm not baking anymore. I barely have time to go into the kitchen and do anything. You know what I mean? But I was spending sometimes 2 hours making a video because I had tons of time in the pandemic. And sometimes people are like, I miss your baking videos. And I will say, I'll try and make a baking video. And then the week goes by, I'm like, I don't have time to do a baking video. That was such a process, You
just walk into the bakery, right?
We got good bakeries in New York. I don't have to bake anymore at the moment anyway.
You walk into Levain's and send me some cookies.
Tell me about it. That place smells. Every time I walk by, there's a new one in the neighborhood, and every time I walk by, I'm like, they have got it figured out with the aroma coming out, because it draws you in every single time. It's unbelievable.
Awesome. Well, Helen, thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
Oh, it was so good to see you again. It's been too long. Thank you so much for having me, Ion. You're incredible. You really lead nicely with the questions. Like, things just blended right into the next in a nice way. So appreciate that. It was very comfortable.
Pleasure. My pleasure. I appreciate that. Thank you. And we'll definitely have you on again. This evolution is amazing. We'll make sure everyone follows you. And thank you all for taking Helen and I on our journey, making us part of your story. This has been Ion Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.